What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make your simple trap melody sound finished. So obviously we're going to need a melody. So we're 145 BPM. This is the sound that I'm going to start with. Okay, this ghost tune sound. Any sounds I'm using will be linked in the description for you. So let's grab in a scale. Maybe we can just run with like a D minor. Key doesn't matter too much. So the first tip here starting is to make your whole goal here is to make a melody that sounds super repetitive but isn't annoying to listen to. Okay, so what I like to do is kind of mess around, and this is if you want to make something dark. You can start on your key. You can do this on any note really, and you just make a fifth. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So you have your fifth. All right, and then obviously if you want something dark, you would kind of fill in these two notes here, and then you can kind of play around with the octave here. Now, what I like to do personally for this is you can do it whichever way. You can move the notes around however you like. You could do something like this. What I like to do is play around with this fifth. That way we can get two melodies out of a 4-bar loop. So for this, we could do something like this, copy it over, and I will probably actually flip this, right? That way the melody sounds like it's progressing, but it's really not. It's the same note. So let's play it. Right, and the reason why this isn't annoying to listen to is because the notes, they aren't fluctuating that far from one another. So if we split them up and it kind of split up and it kind of went up an octave and it just went far out to these notes, it will sound kind of annoying eventually, right? Right, so it's kind of more low key when we have the notes closer together, especially when we have a lot of that tension in there. So what I would do here, just pull this over, pull it up. Right, very simple melody here. I'm gonna just play it from the middle. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our counters for some depth. Now for our next sound, we have the savior sound. So it's kind of what it sounds like. It's like a very chimey bell. So what we're gonna do is use our same little technique we did in the first part. We're just using this to add depth. Now, what I like to do for dark stuff is we can start on our root, of course, do the fifth, and then fill those two notes in. But now what we can do is do something like this. And you could do any pattern you want. I'm just doing the basic generic pattern. I'm gonna actually lock this to 1/4, and we can lock this down like so. And now we have something that sounds pretty cool. And you could do other stuff too if you wanna do something like that. I'm gonna actually use this on the second part and then copy it over. Okay, so I think that's pretty good for that. And then we can copy this here just so we can keep the same notes. So this is the sound that I'm using here. Okay, and don't forget, we're still gonna be adding effects and stuff. So what we're gonna do is delete all this and just split this apart, right? We can do kind of like, let me see, maybe we can. And then maybe we can go up an octave since the other melodies go up an octave. We can make this one a little bit more simple. Just come back full circle. Let's see how that sounds. All right, so we're finished with our melody. It sounds very dry right now. So what we're gonna do is add some effects, and I'm gonna show you some ways that you can kind of make it sound finished without adding other sounds. Lastly, we're going over some effects. So you probably should have some effects that you go to when you want to add like sounds, so like gross beat or something. So this is what I'm using. I'm using Portal on the first one, the siren sprinkles, just bare bones preset. And then on our, I believe this is the last sound here, I'm using the pitch eclipse, and I reversed it. Okay, so I'll just play off and on for each real quick. Right, and then for this one, off. Oops. So pretty much you just turn these sounds into textures, and that's kind of what we want, especially if we're trying to make something dark. So this is what it sounds like all together. So now the melody is a little bit more low key. So what we're gonna do is turn this into a sample. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So usually you can just go to the playlist and just bounce it out that way. However you're gonna do it, but I'm gonna just go ahead and do this real quick. Now we have our sample, so I'll just play a little bit of it. So what I like to do is I like to take this and take it into, so we can right click and go to edit an audio editor. So what we can do here, and I'm gonna just give you my setup, what I like to do first before I do anything. So this is kind of it's just going into a longer process, but I'm gonna shorten it up for you, because typically what I would do here is I would apply what I'll show you here in a second, and then maybe add other stuff like vocals or anything on it, and you can start to build yourself a sample. But this is what I like to do first. So first what I like to do is right click, format, edit properties, and I like to put sample rate at 2500. Now I don't like anything below that because it kind of takes out some of the higher frequencies, and it's kind of hard to tell what the melody is. So I like 2500. Resample, you can mess with other settings, this is just what I like. Accept. So this is what it sounds like now. So now you don't even really have to EQ this, because we can add an 808, some drums, and this is kind of a finished melody already. But one other thing that I like to do is I like to go to blur, and these are my exact settings. I don't touch it. This is at 38%, I believe. Yep, 38%, and this is at 50%. I don't touch it. I'll leave it exactly like this. I accept, and what it's gonna do is kind of blur all the melodies together, and it's gonna kind of become like this one big texture. And this helps for if you want to chop it, or if you want to add other instruments on top, because now this is kind of like a texture now, but you can still use this as a main melody. And then I don't know why this is blue. Let's change this to like a brighter color. Do something like that. And then what you can do from here is you can reverse it. You can do all type of stuff. I'm gonna just, I don't know, we can just cut it like this. Kind of use this. And we want to flip it, because when we reverse it, the low end ends up on this side, and then we can just literally copy this over. Oops. And I'm not gonna do too much chopping or anything, because I want to just make this quick. But yeah, this is what it'll sound like now. Right, and then from here, and I know I don't want this part to be too long, but if you wanted to, you could start chopping this down, right? You can have like some pauses. Right, and since everything is blurred together, you can have that freedom to do that. But if the melody was more in your face or clearer, you couldn't do this, because the melody would be offbeat. But since we blurred it, we can do that. So I know this part took a long time, but I wanted to thoroughly explain why I'm adding these settings. So yeah, we're gonna keep this, and I'm gonna actually just pull this back so we don't mess up the key. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of drums to this. Now we're gonna throw in some drums, so we have an outro beat, and we gotta finish this up. So let's start with our 808 here. So this is pretty simple. I'm just playing the finished sample here, and you can pretty much just use the same notes. I'm gonna put this on 1/2, and I might speed up some parts, I don't know, but doesn't really matter. All right, so I think we can stick with this and just change it. down, and then I think we can just kind of fast forward through like this boring stuff. So I'm gonna just throw these in real quick. Okay, I'm not too sure. That's why I don't like doing snare rolls, because it's just very tedious trying to get them to sound right. But that is that. I think we could play the beat all together, because you probably heard that sped up. So we'll play it all together. So let's play it one time through. That's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.